Hello, everyone. This is your main man, Blackfoot, and I hope everyone out there is feeling fine today. You guys, the girls, hit that like button. It would be greatly appreciated as your time and effort will not go unnoticed. So let's dive on in. As you can see right here, y'all, from this picture is from the movie Full Metal Jacket. And if you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend that you do watch it. Now, this particular scene here, you have the colonel pretty much chewing out one of his soldiers because he have two conflicting things on his person. On his helmet, he has words called "Born to Kill," and on his jacket, he has a peace button. And so the colonel's trying to figure out what is going on. You know, he has "Born to Kill" on his helmet, written on his helmet, "Born to Kill," and on his jacket, he has a peace sign. So it was two conflicting ideologies going on here. So the colonel wants to know what was going on. So he was pretty much giving him a hard time, and the soldier told him pretty much, he's talking about the duality of life. So the colonel got a little bit agitated. He didn't want to give him too much of a problem. So he said, son, you know what? Get on the winning team. He said, we over here in Vietnam because within every gook, there is an American trying to get out. And when he said that, kind of stuck in my head, through future tense, in which I bring about a remix today. So as you can see on your screen here, I'm going back using this scene here with Alexander the Great and his general here. So I pretty much got the date there, and I have generals in the back, and I have the Alexander here playing the colonel, and he's saying instead of the America, I have the Greek. So I inputted the words, we're here, son, because inside of every culture is a Greek trying to get out. And I have the one of his generals saying Hellenistic philosophy 101. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's what's pretty much happened in the Greek aftermath when Alexander the Great happened. Now, I said all this to plug in the history what is missing that a lot of people refuses, or they don't really want to acknowledge that what happened between the Old Testament and the New Testament. And this is what has happened between the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Greeks came in. That's what's happened. If you ever read Daniel, the book of Daniel, he talks about the Greeks pretty much. But this is what a lot of people don't want to talk about, right? Now, it's going to be a part two with this, but I really want you guys and girls to understand that there is a 400-year gap. Let me say that again. There is a 400-year gap between the Old Testament and the New Testament. And in between that gap is the Greeks, right? It's very powerful what the Greeks have done. And a lot of people really bypass it. They're looking all at the philosophers and all that deep consciousness thought and all that good stuff, the Prometheus and all of them, the Pythagorean theory. All that's good. That's good. That's good. That's great. That's great. It's all there. But what is more important that a lot of people fail to miss, or they refuse to understand, that the Greeks have absorbed a lot of these cultures that they have conquered. They conquered the Persians, the Babylonians, the Medes, the Parthians, the Romans, pretty much Italy, but then the Romans popped up, the Jordanians, the Edomites, they absorbed a lot of these people and they made them into Greek, or should I say a byproduct of Hellenistic Greek culture. Because here's the saying, because within every culture there is a Greek. And that is very, very important, ladies and gentlemen, that I really want you guys to home in within that gap between the Old Testament and the New Testament. You have the Greek absorbing all of these people and they making them into Greeks, just like the movie Borg or Star Trek. Y'all saw the Borg, that when the Borg come over, they grab people, and they next they transform them into half Borg, half whatever they used to be. Just like how they got Captain Picard and make him into, I forgot his name, Laceitupboxy, right? He was half human, half Borg. And that's what happened within a lot of these cultures, right? They absorbed them and made them a byproduct of them. And not only did they do their persons, they also did their culture. They did their books as well, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you have the Septuagint, the Greek version of that. And that's why you got a lot of these people now called during that time Jewish. You have the Judean or the Hasmonean or the Maccabees who were the original ones, but then you have a offshoot, a byproduct called Jewish people, right? And this is when it's all happened during this time within that 400-year gap. And not only you just have those people, you also have different sects popped up, because you have different sects, cults, and all type of people who thought they had the greater knowledge. See, they didn't have TV back then. They didn't have no TV, they didn't have no cable, they didn't have no cards, they didn't have no internet like we do today. They didn't have none of that. So their entertainment was theory, thoughts in their mind, a deeper contemplation of words, that the words doesn't actually mean what they mean. It actually have a byproduct or another meaning, a dual meaning, a hidden meaning behind the word. And the word was, and the book that they grabbed all this from was the Old Testament. Now, there's going to be a part 2 with this, right? Because you see, they don't talk about no other books but this Old Testament. And the Old Testament is almost like, how you grab some something glass, and you throw it and it shatters, right? And everybody grab these pieces of glass and they start philosophizing on it, and they be like, oh, it's not just a glass, it's crystal, and it's in this shape, and and everybody grab their own little piece of broken glass, and they all get to philosophizing on it. They all get to have their own little deeper in thought about what shape it is and how it's cut, and everybody thinking that they have the master class of this piece of broken glass, right? You get what I'm saying? They grab this one piece of glass and they think it is the glass of glass. It's shaped this way, and it's a theory behind it, because when the lights hits it, it turns the light that way. And when somebody grabs it, be like, no, it turns this way. And that's how crazy it pretty much is, right? And it is a crazy phenomenon that's what happened with the Old Testament. Because basically what happened between this 400-year gap between the Old Testament and the New Testament was that they didn't understand the Old Testament at all, right? Because like I always said, within every culture there is a Greek inside of it. And that's what they tried to get. And that's what they did. They found the inner Greek within the Old Testament. Let me say that again. They found, or should I say, they made up a Greek god that was already in the Old Testament. This is their philosophy. This is their mindset, ladies and gentlemen. And it's really just that simple. If you can hold on to that, if you can hold on to what I just said, that is what they did. That was that 400-year gap between the Old Testament and the New Testament. When the Greek came, they was so entrenched in thought of trying to pull out, adding their philosophical Greek Hellenistic ways to the Old Testament, and voila, you have a lot of Greek savior gods. We have these Greek sets, Greek cults, and everything that has pretty much philosophized out of it. Because within every culture there is Greek philosophy. There's the Greek god in there, and that's what they did. They sat there and just manipulated their minds, manipulated the words, manipulated everything, because they grabbed Zeus, they grabbed Apollo, they grabbed all these different type of Greek culture, and they was like, yeah, let me just mix it in there, and poof, because it's in there. Because we have the Greeks, they believe they had a deeper thought, like an apple is not just the apple, right? It is the curvature of the 360 degrees plane that is complex. When the wind hit it, the birds chirp, and yes, there it is, the god of Olympias right there. Have you seen it? Yes, and let's write on it. Let's write, because I saw it. If I see it, I can write on it. And if my mind can think on it, I got to write it out. And there it is. That's the philosophy of it. That's what you call almost lunatical or suicide, or bird brain. I don't know what type of word you want to give it to, because it's crazy just to implement something when it's just the apple. It grew off a tree, dude. You eat it, you don't starve no more. You fill your belly up with the nutrients of the apple. Just like with biology, when you bite into an apple or whatnot, the apple already have through nature, through God has made that it already have the blueprint that your body, your metabolism, microchondrium. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope I butcher up that word, right? Your body knows how to mitochondria. That's what the word is. That's the biology word. It knows how to break it down to sugars, and the cells know what to take it from, and that's biology. Whereas the Greeks say, no, it is the god of uh, apricus or whatever the type of god, whatever it is, right? That's what it is. That's what they do. And that's what they did during that 400-year gap. That is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Very important because they get all of that, all of them different books, all these different cults, all these different things from the Old Testament, y'all. That's what they got it all from. Because within every culture there is a Greek god within that. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I'm going to show you, without of a shadow of a doubt, your boy, Jesus Christ. And with that, I will stop there.